Welcome to the Derek Creason Show. This is episode 10. I am your host, Derek Creason, and as always, I welcome your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, your comments, whatever you want to send me. Derek@DerekCreason.com is the email address. @DerekCreason is how you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Go out any of those places. Check out any of the things I posted. If you want to interact with me, you can go to my website, DerekCreason.com, for the latest updates. You can sign up for my newsletter there. And then lastly, go to Amazon.com and type in 20-something, or just type in my name, and you can find my book, 20-something. You can get it there on Kindle or paperback. There's links to it all over my social media pages as well. And so go check it out. Welcome, everybody. Today is Tuesday, March 27th. Well, crap. It's actually Wednesday, March 27th. I don't even know what day it is. Look at that. All right, coming up today on the show, we're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about some new movies like Dune and Madam Web. We're going to talk about some old movies like Star Wars and American Assassin. We'll talk about TV shows, what I've been watching lately, what am I looking forward to. We'll go over some music as well. No news today, no commentary on the news. Everything is bad. The world's going to crap, and it's too easy to just rant and rave, and nobody cares about my opinion, and I don't care about your opinion. So we're going to skip the news. We won't talk about any computer news. If you want to look at computer news, just everything is getting hacked, and AI is everywhere, and that's the hot new stuff, and it's going to be anywhere and everywhere. So there's your computer news. We're going to talk about sports today. We'll talk about March Madness. How's your bracket doing? Mine's pretty well messed up, but I'm still kind of in the lead in my family group, so I'm okay with that. We'll talk basketball. We'll talk pro wrestling. We'll talk the XFL and USFL merger. All that kind of stuff is coming up on today's show. Recent life updates. What have I been up to lately? Well, it's been just about a year since I put out my last episode, so insert obligatory dad joke here that I'm going to do more episodes and put out more content more frequently. Honestly, I always have that idea, and I always want to, but sometimes I just don't have time, and sometimes I don't have creativity. And it's actually been a really busy year. It's been a tough year. So I guess that's why we're going to keep the show light today and just do pop culture, TV, music, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been a busy year. Some of the highlights, let me think. Me and Amy, we've traveled a lot. We went to Yellowstone last summer. We went to Hawaii in the fall. We bought a pop-up camper that we tow with our van. We took that out camping with the kids 3 or 4 times. Amy had a car wreck in August. That was fun. You know, kids did wrestling, volleyball, basketball, school, all that kind of stuff. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that's going on. My dad got diagnosed with cancer last year. So he did all that kind of stuff, chemo, radiation, and now surgeries. He's cancer-free, thank God. That's gone well. I changed job roles at work. In January, we took the family to Disney World. So that was actually pretty cool for about 6-7 days. My savings account got destroyed, but that's okay. That's what I had saved up for. And then this month in March, I took Isabel to New York City for her 13th birthday. So that was fun to go do. Yeah, that's some of the highlights of what's been going on this last year. All right, let's talk movies. Today I've got 6 movies and then another series to talk about. So some I've seen in the theaters, and then some I've been watching at home, just kind of off and on. Some new, some rewatches. So first up, let's talk about Madam Web. I saw this in the theater, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's the story, kind of the backstory of Madam Web. It's a Marvel movie. She's in the Spider-Man side of Marvel. So this is kind of the backstory of how she came to be. She's a smaller character. I only knew her from the cartoons I used to watch on Spider-Man growing up in the 90s. It's got that backstory. It's got Dakota Johnson and the popular Sydney Sweeney in it. I thought it was decent. It's kind of in that Spider-Man universe. It's kind of related. Kind of has some back history, Uncle Ben and Aunt Ruth's story and how they came together and how they're related. And no Spider-Man directly in it or anything, but it was kind of just the backstory related. Kind of got panned by the critics. I thought it was decently entertaining. You can go check it out. I would give it, on my scale, 3 buckets of popcorn, which is okay. So that's what I thought about that. Next up is 10 Cloverfield Lane. So this movie is a loosely related sequel to the movie Cloverfield, which was a found footage movie of just some big alien monster destroying New York. And just a couple people running around New York City trying to escape. Kind of interesting movie. I think it came out in 2008, 2009 back then. I didn't watch it till probably this last year. And so this is a sequel. It's loosely related. It's about a woman who ends up in a bunker with John Goodman. and they're trying to survive the end of the world, but she thinks she's been kidnapped. And it's just kind of that kind of genre, escaping thriller type thing. It was okay. John Goodman was pretty good. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was the main actress in it, in the story. For what it is, it was okay. On my scale, I'd give it 2 buckets of popcorn for a meh, okay. But it was not connected enough to the other movie for me to build like world building or story building. So that's kind of why I rated it a little lower. Next up is American Assassin. This movie came out in 2017. It stars Michael Keaton and Dylan O'Brien. It is kind of a spy thriller, revenge thriller, kind of based in counterterrorism type spy world. I think I've seen it a couple times. It's always a good watch, kind of like spy thriller movies. It's about a kid who loses his fiance in a terrorist attack and then just kind of goes rogue on his own to want to get revenge. I think gets recruited by special ops CIA groups, and then they kind of use him and train him to help him do that kind of thing. And they go around the world chasing bad guys and stop a nuclear bomb and all that kind of stuff. So kind of your classic cliche type spy thriller movie, but also I like it a lot. So it's always good, entertaining, and Michael Keaton is great as always. So for that, I'd give it on my scale 4 buckets of popcorn, which is really good. All right, next up is 12 Strong. This is a 2018 movie starring Chris Hemsworth and Michael Shannon. This is sometimes called the Horse Soldiers, I mean. This is a movie about a special forces group that went into Afghanistan right after 9/11 to go after the Taliban. This story was actually classified for probably 10, 12 years or so before it came out, so it's actually a pretty neat story when you learn about it, and I think it's a really well done action war movie. It's actually just really pretty fascinating to see what the special forces guys can do with little to no resources and just grit and determination. And it's a good action movie. Chris Hemsworth does an awesome job in it. It's something I watch probably once a year or so, but it's just a really good action movie. On my scale, I'd give it 4 buckets of popcorn for being good. Next, we have The Last Samurai. So this is one of my favorite movies. I think I wrote that on one of my lists probably 15, 20 years ago. I liked this movie when it came out back in 2003, and I'll watch it every now and then. I hadn't watched it in quite a few years, actually. I'm a big fan of Japanese culture, samurai stuff. I like learning about that occasionally, off and on. This is just a really well-done movie that kind of goes over all that kind of stuff. Got Tom Cruise, Ken Watanabe, before he was more well-known. He was a Japanese actor. He's more well-known now, and it's even got a small role for Billy Connolly in it. What really stands out to me about this movie, and I think why I like it so much, is just the learning of the samurai way, the Bushido stuff. I love all that kind of stuff. And then just the music is excellent in this movie, and the cinematography, the colors, and the shooting. I think Edward Zwick just did an amazing job directing this movie. I wish it would have gotten more awards and stuff, but I really like it, and it still holds up 20 years later, and so that to me is always a good sign of a movie if something holds up 10, 20, 30 years later and it doesn't seem very dated or anything. Really good movie, one of my favorites. I like to watch it, probably watch it more often, but yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I really enjoy it. Oh yeah, and on my scale, it gets 5 buckets of popcorn because it's great. Not a lot of movies get the great 5 buckets, but this one definitely does. Next up is Dune Part 2. Dune is a sci-fi movie, and they split up. It's based on the book Dune. There's actually like 5 or 6 books in the series from the original author. Frank Herbert is his name. I drew a blank on that for a second. This is a story that's been done in the movies a couple times, like in the 80s and the 2000s, and it never was super great. This latest version by Denis Villeneuve, I'm not sure how to say his name, that they split into 2 parts is actually really well done. They did a great job with it. If I liked the Dune Part 1 movie, I thought that was pretty good for a sci-fi movie. If I thought that one was good, when I went and saw Dune Part 2 a couple of weeks ago in the theater, I would say that Part 2 is like 10 times better than Part 1, and I thought Part 1 was good. So Part 2 was great. It was just such a big, it felt just like a big sci-fi movie. Not even necessarily sci-fi, it just felt like a big movie, big story. It had really great cinematography with the black and white, some very creative stuff. It had an amazing sound and music, lots of neat and different things in that area. And the story was just really cool. So I really, really liked it. It reminded me of a big feel movie like Avengers Endgame or like the Lord of the Rings film. So it's probably a big feel movie like that to me. And not many movies are kind of like that, with a big feel, really cool, epic story. It's just really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people have as well. So if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend you go see it. This is another one on mine that gets 5 buckets of popcorn, which is great. And lastly, I wanted to talk Star Wars movies. So my 7-year-old Ben, I have been introducing him to the Star Wars films. We went to Disney World back in January, and at one of the theme parks, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, has a lot of Star Wars stuff, and they have these really cool rides like Rise of the Resistance, and they're all kind of based on episodes 7, 8, 9, the newer editions of the Star Wars movies. I started watching the movies with him. We watched 7, then 8, then 9, and then now we started back at the beginning, 1 and 2, and so he really enjoys them. He always asks me, hey, when can we watch the next Star Wars movie? And so that's been really fun to just kind of go back and rewatch all the Star Wars films with him. I found 7, 8, and 9 to be entertaining. I know that some of them have critics that pan number 8 or whatever, but I still enjoy them. Rewatching the original, or the prequel trilogy, I liked episode 1. It still holds up pretty well. Episode 2 is good. I like the story that it builds, but some of the acting is just, oh my gosh, quite bad, is what you would say. Some of the dialogue is quite cheesy as well. I don't like sand, that classic meme type thing. So, but what are your thoughts on what's the correct order to watch Star Wars? Do you go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, or do you go 1 through 9? I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way, but trying to tell a backstory to a 7-year-old as he slowly, more and more of this opens up to him, has been interesting and fun. So that's what I've been up to with movies lately. So let me know what you think. What do you think? Have you seen these movies? What are you looking forward to? Oh yeah, what movies are coming out that I'm looking forward to? I don't go to the theater a lot. I like to go more, but just life is busy. But some of the movies that are coming out, there's a new Godzilla versus Kong movie that's coming out that looks really good. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I'm excited to see that. I think it actually comes out this weekend. And then another movie that I'm looking forward to is called Civil War, and that looks pretty interesting as well. And I think that comes out this summer. So those are the movies that I'm looking forward to. That's it for movies today. All right, let's talk TV shows. What have I been watching lately? So the main thing I've been watching lately is season 2 of Halo, and I just finished it a couple nights ago, and I have really enjoyed it. It's based on the video game franchise Halo. It's not exactly like a direct copy of the video game storyline, but it's based on that same universe, kind of like how the Marvel movies are based on the comics, but they're not exactly from the comics. So that's kind of a loose approximation of how you could classify it. But I really like the story. I like the CGI, the action. It's all really well done. I think it's pretty interesting how they are digging into the Master Chief and how he's an elite soldier, and he's starting to question his orders and not just being an instrument of the military or the politicians, and just they point and say, go do this, and he's starting to ask why and figure out, hey, some of these things that they're telling me to do are not good. It's kind of interesting parallels to a lot of current things that I see in our current politics and the military. So I've really enjoyed it. So go check it out and let me know what you think of it as well. All right, next up is a show on Netflix called The Gentleman. I think I'm only 3 or 4 episodes in, and this is a TV series from Guy Ritchie, who is a movie producer, writer, whatever you want to call him. And it's about a family based in Britain, and the son inherits the estate of his father, and they're all wealthy, and then they find out that there is bad guys with growing drugs on their land, and he gets drug into the criminal underworld while trying to get out of it. And so far, it's been pretty entertaining, not too bad. So those are the shows that I'm watching currently. Other than that, I haven't been watching too much. I've actually been thinking about trying to go back and rewatch Lost, but I have no idea where that's available, if it is available on any platform. So if you know where that's at, let me know. I kind of want to go watch that again. That was a great show back in the early 2000s. Shows that I'm looking forward to that are coming out, or have just come out, or have been out, that are on my list to watch. The new X-Men 97. I used to watch the X-Men cartoon back in probably 97, 98. It was a pretty good cartoon back then. And that's coming out on Disney Plus, so I'm excited to go and watch that. I've been seeing a lot of trailers for the TV show Shogun. I think it's on FX, and that is another one that's samurai based in Japan stuff, and so that one looks pretty cool to me. And then also there's a show called Tokyo Vice on HBO, and that looks like a pretty good drama action movie, also based in Japan. So I guess I've been on kind of a Japanese kick recently, but so those are some of the shows that I'm looking forward to. Let me know if you've watched them and what you think of them. All right, let's talk music. So what have I been listening to lately? Most of the time lately, I've just been putting on my master favorites playlist and clicking shuffle, and that's what I do a lot of the time. So just plays through all my favorite songs. I don't use a lot of the algorithms to find new stuff. Sometimes listen to the radio. Other than that, I've been on a Blink-182 kick lately, so I've been listening to some of them the last few days and just getting back into that early 2000s, late 90s pop punk rock stuff that I grew up on and still really enjoy it. As far as concerts, I've been to and upcoming shows. I haven't seen any big name bands in a while. I've been seeing a lot of local bands go see at little music clubs and bars around where I live. I like seeing the local bands I never heard of. Sometimes you can find some real gems. It's pretty cool. I did see Casey Emo last weekend. They're a emo cover band in Kansas City area, and they play all over town. I've been meaning to see them for a while, and they were a lot of fun to go see. They were having a karaoke night and let people get up there and sing with them. And then eventually my wife talked me into getting up there and playing guitar with them instead of singing. So I play guitar a lot better than I sing. And so that was a lot of fun to get up on stage and play a song with band in front of people. So I miss playing live music. So that was a lot of fun. As far as concerts coming to town, the only one I know of really is I think Sum 41 is coming in about a month or so. And I just saw them last summer, so I'm not sure if I'll go see them again or not. But that's about the only major one that I know of coming to town. As far as podcasts I've been listening to, I don't rotate a lot of my podcasts. I probably have 40 or 50 in my podcast app that I'm subscribed to, but I probably only listen to 4 or 5, and then there's probably only 2 or 3 that I regularly rotate through. Mainly I listen to the Steve Day Show, I listen to Chris Jericho's podcast, I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and then Freddie Prinze Jr.'s Wrestling with Freddie podcast. So those are the main podcasts that I listen to. That's it for music today. Let's talk sports. So today on sports, we got a couple things to talk about. First, let's talk about March Madness, because it's March and it's madness. March Madness is about the only time of year that I actually watch college basketball. I enjoy watching basketball. It's actually one of my favorite sports to play. I just am way too busy to try to follow college basketball or NBA. The tournament in March makes it a lot of fun. We like to fill out brackets with friends. Sometimes I'll do some at work. Usually we'll do it with our family, just me and my wife and the 4 kids, and we have a lot of fun counting that up and seeing who picked the most right. This year, like usual, I usually pick Kentucky to win it all, and then Kentucky lost in the first round, so my whole right side of my bracket just got massively destroyed. But my bottom left side is actually doing really well. I can't remember what one that is, and it's not even on a piece of paper near me to verify if that's the southern or northern or whatever. But so I'm actually in second place still while we're coming up on the Sweet 16, so that's always fun. Hopefully, I guess I need to pick a second place team to cheer for and root for. I'll watch some games when they come on and have to go find my bracket and see who I want to win, but that's always a good time. Also coming up, the XFL and the USFL have merged to become the United Football League, or UFL. This spring, they're going to give spring football another go-around, and it's going to be the UFL. There's going to be 8 teams in it, and it starts March 30th, so coming up here in just a couple days. And so we will see if spring football can take off again and get going. It didn't seem too bad. I wish them the best of luck. I like football, so hopefully it will go well and make a profit, and they can keep having more football. Next up is pro wrestling. So a lot going on in pro wrestling. So let's talk AEW. So AEW just recently had Revolution pay-per-view. It's their first pay-per-view of the year, or is it the second? Now I can't remember. Anyways, I usually like it. It's usually a pretty good one. This one was pretty special. It was Sting's retirement match, and I thought they just did an awesome job with this. They let Sting come in AEW a couple years ago, and he's just been doing a great job for being 65 years old. And his retirement match was just awesome. They had awesome story to it. They let the match play out well. There was just some good interference, some good involvement with his kids, good storytelling, some crazy bumps from Darby Allin. There was some awesome comebacks and no-selling from Sting. And then he actually won and went out winning, which is not usually the case when you're retiring. Usually you go out on your back and take a loss. But I thought it was just booked really well, and it was just a really exciting moment. for pro wrestling. Sting's been around for 30 years. If you followed pro wrestling, you know who he is. It was just neat to see them book that really well, and it was really entertaining and a really cool send-off for Sting. So if you haven't seen it, go watch that pay-per-view and check out that match. In WWE, there is some fun stuff coming up. It's WrestleMania season, so WrestleMania is always in April, and then always around January to April is when I start getting a little bit more back into WWE. They put out too much content each week for me to try to stay up to date on it. I usually just catch the highlights on YouTube. But the main highlights are The Rock is back, and he is building with a story with Cody Rhodes for a big match at WrestleMania. And most people don't know that The Rock used to do wrestling all the time, and he's a really good talker and trash talker. And right now his persona is he's a bad guy or a heel, and so it's really fun to watch The Rock just be a bad guy jerk and go out and just talk trash and be a really mean bad guy character as compared to usually his wholesome Instagram, family-friendly, movie, Hollywood nice guy. It's a lot of fun if you like that. WrestleMania is coming up next weekend, so I'm excited to watch that. So lots of fun with pro wrestling, always good stuff coming up, and the story never ends, so that's why I like wrestling. Always a good time. So that's it for sports today. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. I want to say thank you for listening. If you enjoyed my podcast, hit the follow or subscribe button on whatever platform you found it on. I appreciate that. If you want to get in touch with me, send me some feedback. Derek@DerekCreason.com is the email address. You can find me on socials at Derek Creason on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube if you want to message me on there. I'm also on Rumble. You can check out my website at DerekCreason.com. Sometimes I'll post the latest updates there. You can sign up for my newsletter, so I'll let you know, keep you up to date what's going on in my world. And then also go check out my book, 20-something. It's available on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle or paperback. And links to that are all over my pages and social pages. Or you can just go type my name in the Amazon search bar and it'll show up. All right, thanks everybody. See you later. All right, coming up today on the show, we've got movies, TV, music. Gosh, this sucks. We gotta go. All right, let's talk music. Okay, I think I got the audio figured out. Why is the audio also coming up? Some of my things have been